Well, before QFloors, we had different systems, and so we had to do things mostly manual, and then we would input it into different types of software.
Before QFloors, we were very, very small and done a lot of stuff by paper and pen, Excel spreadsheets. I experimented a little bit with QuickBooks.
It's usually me that developed spreadsheets, so we had one for leads, we had one for sample checkout, we had one for scheduling, we had one for invoices. We did our invoices on an Excel spreadsheet and then saved them to a file.
We've used other software programs in the past and found them to be very difficult, found them to be insufficient to get information that we really needed without going through a lot of issues.
We used to be pen and paper. So using that aspect, it's a lot slower as well when you're using pen and paper. You're not as organized with your customers.
Our business didn't have any systems, it wasn't organized, it was chaotic, and I know we lost money.
The family business you could not leave before without wondering, worrying, calling, texting, emailing all the time.
We used QuickBooks for about 17 years, and it was a good accounting software, but it really was not good at keeping up with inventory. You had no scheduling abilities through it. You couldn't keep up with profit margins on the jobs and whatnot. We tried RFMS for 2 months before coming to QFloors. Huge mistake. It literally cost us one employee. It was so such an archaic program, so hard to use. They made everything about it was just way too difficult. Lost one employee, had other ones that was threatening to leave. We did not get a refund from RFMS. That money was lost.
I went over to RFMS. I spent 6 weeks in torture. From the first week that they came and more or less made me lie. When they left the trainer, I could not open up the checkbook and write a check. So I go into a panic mode because I was not in control of my company anymore. And so I cried every morning, cried every night. I mean, it was 6 weeks of torture.
From a managerial standpoint, it allowed us to be able to track things on a real-time basis, where we couldn't do that before. We would have to wait before we knew what our numbers were, and it took the guesswork out of trying to figure out what our numbers really were.
It's just night and day difference in what we used to do. QFloors has given us the ability to grow from a less than $1 million a year company to a $7 million a year company in one location.
This just brought everything together and made everything much easier. I don't have to save anything anymore. Everything's, in there and in the right place.
We find it to be so user-friendly and to give us all the information we need to run our business, and we don't have to be at the business to run it. We can do it from other areas, and allows us a little more freedom. So we just find the whole system to be very compatible with the way we run our business.
Callbacks are a lot easier because you can follow up just on the computer as opposed to looking through all your papers to see what you need to do. Bill paying, in fact, I used to write out all the checks. Now I can just easily click a couple buttons on QFloors and they print out.
I know as I look back on it and think of the money I would have spent to have somebody do some of the work that QFloors does, I wouldn't have had that money to do it. So many people look at purchasing a software component as being too expensive. I say that it's not too expensive.
Now we're on the cloud, we use that whether we're in a meeting or maybe we would be out and about shopping or wherever we would be, we can log back in and check on things if need be. Just the peace of mind is probably the greatest thing that you can take family vacations. You can be away and not stress out.
We have seen in just 13 months, our profit margins have increased quite a bit because we see it. As you're selling each job, it's right there. So as you add each line, each product, each labor, You know whether that is driving your profit up on the job or down on the job. So it has increased our profit margins. It is actually well and above paid for the program in the first year.
From the first time that I looked at it, it done everything that I ever imagined that I wanted a program to do.